We've made it to day 8. I am so excited to share with you today. Today we're going to be focusing on God's presence and His involvement in our church. I'm really excited to share with you today because just last night I was looking at something that I have to share with you about. So I am a sign language interpreter and I have an amazing friend. He is an incredible interpreter. And in 2021, we went to a conference and he was interpreting this song. The name of the song is called Build This Church. And the lyrics are incredible. But as an interpreter, what we do is we're not only signing what the word for word of what is being said. The purpose of us signing is to interpret an accurate message so that the message of the song, the meaning of the song, the intention of the song, as well as the person who's singing or who's speaking or whoever is given directly. So everything that is implied, we give it explicitly. So I bring this up because that song was incredible. That interpreter, he was incredible. His name is Roger, an incredible interpreter. But that song has impacted me so much because it said the same words over and over and over again. So the chorus of it says, build your church, build your church, build it from the ground up. It's your church, build your church, build your church, build it from the ground up. We are your church. You see the repetition? This incredible man of God, he was so anointed at the moment when he was interpreting this. You can just see how God was just moving through him. And it brought to I remembered that because the verse today is Matthew 16:18, and it says, and I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. So it talks about building the church, which is related to that song. If you read on the chapter, and just so that you know, I know you guys see me kind of looking on here. I have a beautiful journal that somebody gave me recently, and I just kind of like to write my notes on it. But I was reading the whole chapter, which I'm hoping that you're doing the same. Go ahead and read the chapter so you kind of can see what's happening in context. Don't just only focus on that verse. So you know what's happening before the verse and after the verse. And I broke down the chapter when you'll see it on the Bible. It kind of broke it in 4 different parts. It talks about like the Pharisees and the Sadducees asking for signs, and another one is it tells you to guard your heart from teachings, and another part which tells you, you'll read about people, what do people say Jesus is, like who is he, and then it's asking Peter, who do you say I am? And Peter says, you're the Messiah. And that's where that verse comes into play. That's where Jesus responds to Peter, and he says, and I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. So, as an interpreter, we heard that he repeated the same words over and over and over again. I just can't explain to you how excited I was to watch him. And I've been watching that video over and over again throughout the years. Even last night, it just randomly showed up on my phone, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. So the interpretation of what he was saying and what that song means and what building the church is, what is the church of God? A lot of times we think that the church of God is an actual building. And no, the church of God is you and it's me. We are the church of God. And what does the church of God, like, what is it that we do? What does the church of God do? And these are the words that this man, anointed man of God, at that particular moment, God gave him the words of what that meant. And it meant to build a foundation of truth. And he said, he also signed, and we build on that foundation. We grow those people. We teach the people. We disciple the people. We bring salvation to the people. God take controls of that growth. Unity it builds consistently growth, change, improvement, correction, fixing. Look at all of that from just what that means by building the church. And it brings us back to the original beginning, that God's involvement in our church. And it's not only in the building itself, but in the people that go to the building. So building the church of faith assembly, for example, building the church where you attend to or wherever, remember that it's not the building, that it's me, that it's you, that it's the community that we work in. And it's our responsibility. And it's actually a privilege that we have, if we have salvation, if we have freedom, that we can share that with other people, that we can encourage others and teach others that. And for me, when I was writing all these things down, I was thinking of that. God's going to build the church, his people, based on me too. Like, that's a lot of responsibility, but it also kind of makes me want to put my shoulders back and stand a little taller and say, God trusts me enough to build his church. He trusts you enough to build his church. So what that means is that I have to share the foundation. I have to show the truth of God. I have to allow people to grow in that. I have to disciple people. I have to be able to talk to people about salvation and not make it so religious and so complicated, but to be able to say, God chose me to build a church. Wow. And it's heavy, it's something that it's a big responsibility, but it's also such an honor that God has chosen us to build a church. And sometimes we don't feel worthy because of all the things that we've done. But guess what? If you read at the end of that chapter, it talks about Jesus predicts that he's going to die, but he talks about he's going to experience suffering, he's going to experience death, but he's going to experience resurrection. And guess what? You and I experience suffering, and we die to our old self, and we resurrect. We live a great, rejoiceful life, revived, and we were able to do the same thing with Jesus and through Jesus as we move forward. So remember that God's going to build his church through us. And we go back to the church building, and we are part of ministries, and we are part of all these things because God's using us. And a lot of people that don't know God, they see the church building and they think that's the church of God. And it's amazing. Come to the church. But guess what? You and I, we are the church. So again, bringing God into the church, bringing God into me, through me, in you, and through you as well. So be excited, be motivated, and feel privileged and honored that God has chosen us to build his church. Okay, hope you have an amazing day. And remember, like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Have an amazing evening.